And now we are live, and we'll
Sweet.
put the marker in, and away we go.
Get ready to laugh out loud with Wise and Nerdy, the show hosted by two hilarious dads who are bringing their unique blend of wit, wisdom, and nerdiness to the airwaves. From sharing hilarious anecdotes about their own experiences to giving advice on navigating the ups and downs of life, these two dads have got you covered. But it's not all. They're also obsessed with all things nerdy, from comic books and sci-fi movies to video and board games. So whether you're a fellow dad, a pop culture fanatic, or just in need of a good laugh, tune in to Wise and Nerdy and join in the fun.
You're not the boss of me, Kurt. Don't tell me to join in the fun. I do what I want. So I am the Roy Got a Podcasting Night, and I am with a whole new cast. I fired everybody. Fired them all.
Wow.
And I have got the world famous high dollar Devocite is sitting in this evening, and I very much appreciate. There we go, getting the lights off.
Charles, I'm glad to be here. A lot of fun.
You know what? In the bigger picture of all the times you're supposed to show up, you showed up 100% of the time, and I cannot say that about Joe or Kurt. So I appreciate you being here.
I've got a good
tonight.
track record going right now. Yes.
You really do. You really do. And the funniest thing is, neither one of them know you're the replacement. So they're going to find out the fun way, and I love it. Before I get into regular show stuff, as we tend to do, I got chastised last week by one of our side producers and Phantom Menace, Phil Keating. And we, I guess, never publicly mentioned we're only streaming on YouTube Live. And we went that way because we found that's where more people were tuning in live and interacting more. And I love the idea of the chat talking to each other, and we're getting more and more of that now. So if you want to watch us live on Thursday nights, I had to think about what night it is. Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. It is youtube.com/ I can't remember if they threw in an at some. They changed stuff up, but it's basically wise_n_nerdy. Check us out there. It's great. And tonight I did bring what I needed to the table. So this show is brought to you by the letter Scotch and the number 3. And the number 3 means this is Bardstown Origins Series White label 96. B is I know what it is. I have to find it in the listing here. It's a abbreviation for bourbon. So it's the bourbon specifically. Do you drink the brown liquid of the gods?
I do, but my brown liquid of choice is rum. And it's a very specific rum from Nicaragua. And it is it is an elixir. I tried it when I was there Christmas with my cousin many moons ago. And that's what they did for, Feliz Navidad, and pour out a shot of rum. And I was like, this is the best ever. And took the bottle back home. What my wife, she may have drank it all. And so it's kind of hard to find, but I have found it again. So
I don't know about rum, man, because I had such a traumatic experience 21 that I've just kind of sworn off rum on my life. I did have somebody talk me into their favorite was Kraken rum. And they poured a shot and put it in my hand. I'm like, well, I know it's not Malort, so I know I'm not gonna be like bleh. But I just the story, I'll go ahead and share it. Why not? It's a story show. 21 years old. I got statute of limitations is gone, people, so you can't hate me. I am 46 years old. This is over 20 years ago. But my friend was 18, my other friend was 19, and we went to the liquor store because I was 21, and that's what you do with your buddies, right? Because I can get it legally. And one guy picked up Captain Morgan spiced rum. I picked up some bottle of vodka, and I forget what the other guy picked up, maybe some tequila. And we basically sat up my driveway like the rednecks we were not, and drank this alcohol all night. All of us novices, all of us not know what we're doing. My buddy who drank the spice rum, I mean, I tasted like, oh, that's just gross. I can't do it. He drank the whole bottle at 19 years old, never drank before, and was crawling on his hands and knees to go pee in the bushes. My other buddy who was drunk was trying to be Dragon Ball Z and do Hari Kamehameha and all that stuff. And I'm still, this is where from day one I learned no matter how much I drink, my brain doesn't shut off. As I'm wrangling it now, my body shuts off. My body was wandering all over the yard, but my brain was like, oh man, I gotta get them inside to safety and get them tucked in their sleeping arrangements and whatever. And I had a couch that had no legs. It has no legs, Lieutenant Dan. And but it was just safer because that's where I put Super Drunky, the guy who drank the rum. And we get him settled in, and my other buddy and I were just kind of talking. We turned off the lights, and we're just kind of winding down. We hear hoot, and he goes, "What's that?" I'm like, "You know what that is?" And I was an EMT at the time, so I jump up and sure enough, he goes, "Raw." So we're able to roll off the couch, but he puked up the entire bottle of spice rum. It was like a room garage apartment. My apartment smelled like vomit and spice rum for 3 months, and since that day, other than that one shot of Kraken, I don't go anywhere near rum. Because also, would you say, I don't know about that particular rum, but it seems like a lot of rum has coconut flavoring in it or coconut or something. Like that.
Well, I think a lot of the cheaper rums, they add the spice and things to kind of church it up when it really is pretty crappy. I had almost exact same story, except it was my friend who was in St. Louis. It was 4th of July. He had a little apartment downtown during an internship, and out came the Captain Morgan, and it came back out. Very similar story. It was terrible. So I don't really care for that. This is more like, this is like quality stuff. This is not, and also apparently some rums have like the highest percentage of methanol, some of that cheap stuff. So I stay away from it. So that's my one go-to.
You go
But I do,
blind.
yeah. So I mean, I'll have a little scotch here or there. Beer. I really like my favorite these days is like apple cider, the hard ciders. So yeah, that's what
I have not really got into that. I think Phil likes that a lot. In fact, he sells hard ciders and different things like that. But
oh really?
I just never. I guess I just have to. It's the right thing, right place, right time. I've learned throughout my life, I'm a quality guy. So that cheap Captain Morgan's rum was like $20 for the 750 spice rum. Not for me, but perhaps something that's handmade or price is not always a factor, but it kind of is a factor in alcohol world. That typically the more expensive it is, the longer it's aged, which makes it a little bit better. So my favorite is one Scotch right now is 1000% Yamazaki whiskey. It's actually not Scotch whiskey, but it's Japanese. It is so good. I just went to Savannah 2 weeks ago now, I guess, and went out with the crew, and of course when we do that, when it's the company trip, and it's like I get free reign of the bar, and so I went over to look at this little bar. They got it, and I mean, it was in this place. It was about $40 a pour, so I got 2 doubles.
Wow.
And so it's not a cheap bottle, but let me tell you, if you like Scotch, you'll understand this. If you don't, this is going to sound super gross. It was just barely a step above drinking sweet tea as far as the taste. It was just smooth.
Wow.
It was just hints of sweetness and just all these great flavors. No alcohol taste at all. But after the first few sips, your body's like, yeah, John Mayer had it right. My body is a wonderland. All right. So that was YouTube. We're going to do
the question of the week.
I was about to hit the mic one just to see if Mike ended before he did. All right. This is something Devo and I were talking about a little bit before the show. He mentioned that his nickname has been that for a long time, which is Devocite, which I love to say Devocite. It just rolls off my tongue better. But you're like, man, a long time. So I wanted to have like a little bit of a dad age off on the internet here.
Ooh.
How old is your oldest handle? That could be an email, your first social media, whatever. How old is your oldest handle?
For me, well, the Devo is actually, it started off Devo. I was actually given the nickname at a camp. One of the counselors.
Is you're whipping it good, or?
Well, no, I had this really cropped haircut and way darker hair than now, surprisingly. And, and my general face, one of the guys looked at me and said, "Oh, you look like Mark." Well, I got the guy's name from Devo. He does. And suddenly I was Devo. That was it. And then, I'm with like, I don't know, 12 at the time. And when you're 11 or 12, you're also a bit of an irritating kid. And
Not me.
no, never. And so someone decided to add the site as in a parasite, except that was the Devocite. So,
That's
the
funny.
Devocite, and it's guaranteed that nobody else had Devocite. I mean, this is a crafted word.
Right.
So anyway, crafted name, if you will. So anyway, so Devocite, I kind of stuck with it, and it's just always been it. So Devo, matter of fact, I got a text from one of my friends just yesterday, and he goes, "Hey, Devo." I mean, that's, it's still in use, and still
Then the
use
rest of
here.
the message, what in the rest of the message, we've been trying to reach you about your extended car warranty.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing that. Not that specific joke, but I got an email that to me was clearly spam,
Mhm.
but it said for Charles at the bottom. It had all these symbols like, yeah, no, that's spam. But they are going in. I've had people spam like Wise and Nerdy is like, oh, we've listened to your show. It's so amazing. Why? It's like now somehow AI or whatever you're using has gotten better to skim specific information. I've never had anybody call me, like I've not gotten a spam emails like rock on a podcasting. You need to like, yeah, no. But for the 2 decades I've done social media, you always get that emails like, well, we listen to your show. You should try, and not one time they put in a specific anything to the show. But back to the question, the oldest hand.
Sure.
Now mine, as well, on the here, I'll bring out the screens a little bit. So as you see, huge Cookie Monster fan. That's just the one thing. Actually, there's a little bit on the shelf there. There's one right off screen here on the shelf. I have probably not the world's largest collection of Cookie Monster stuff, but I have a collection. And so when email first came around, my grab was Cookie Monster without any real vowels. So it's like CKYMNSCR, because nobody would have that. For the longest time, that was like yours. That was just, it didn't matter. Hotmail, AOL, whatever, friend finder or whatever it was, all that stuff. And then came a day, I think even on Facebook I had it. Then came a day where something came out, and maybe it's a new email provider like Gmail, or maybe it was, who knows what it was, but somebody had my name, and I was like, I'm gonna have to hunt somebody down in this world and tell them what's what, because how did you grab that name? Drives me crazy. But what's your oldest email? Did you have a Hotmail?
Oh yeah, I have. As soon as anything came out, for the longest time, I would tie up Devocite, whatever, just to ensure that same thing didn't happen to me. It hasn't happened, but I always just, and for no other reason to check it out. Kind of being that nerdy guy that wants to check out, oh, this new email or something, or Twitter. When Twitter first came out, Devocite, boom. I don't have that email anymore, and I can't recover that, but no one else can use it. It's locked up.
There was one. So bear crawling is my oldest. Like I still have an email with that on, and of course it's one of my original shows, all that jazz. But because everything else, like the Cookie Monster, I just kind of got disheartened, and then I said, well, I need to brand show. So I've had an email for every show I've had, and then Rock on a Podcast is pretty easy to brand across the board. But Bearcon is the only one I still have. But even now, I think it was Twitter, because I'm not the guy who jumps on social media things first. Everything else in the tech world, I'm on first. AI, electric cars, whatever, I'm on it. But the social media stuff, like, let's see. And when I finally got on Twitter, which is about a year after it launched, some bleepity bleep had bear crawling, which I was like, again, it's almost like it's not quite a manufactured word. It is a little bit known in the sports world for exercises, but it's not something people associate with brands or whatever. And I'm using it for a show. Guy never posted anything. He just signed up, never posted. It had been inactive forever, and there was nothing I could do to get that. I'm like, you're killing me. So I had to always figure that out. What was your first branding with Devocite? Was it like Juno or
it was
Net Zero?
I think it was Hotmail. Oh, well, actually,
What about AOL?
well, Gmail. Actually, I got the Gmail like in the early, like late 90s.
What about the AOL? You got mail, mother
AOL.
paper.
Yep. And actually, ICQ. I had Devocite. ICQ, baby. Oh, I did love it. Wasn't it good?
It was.
I met some really fun people.
Yeah.
I'll
And
tell
it's
you
so much better. Honestly, I mean, I love Discord. Discord has a lot of different, way different functions. But ICQ is just get on, talk to some people. If you don't like them, gone on to the next one.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, you're saying it was some German DJs on there, you know. It was really pretty cool. Those guys were nuts.
No, German DJs never.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm in charge of everything tonight, so hold on to your seats, everybody. It's gonna be a random show. Let's see, we've got the number 3, and that's how do I okay. All right, and we might throw in some other stories here, but this one's for Devo. How do I plan for an adventure, say, I don't know, rafting down a river?
Well, the first thing you ask is, who's going to pick us up? Number one, because if you don't ask that question, it could go quite sideways, depending on who's organizing it. And,
so this sounds like not a like commercial. You drive somewhere, they take the pink bus an hour up the road and throw you in the river. This is just you and your buddies.
Yeah, actually, it happened to me. One of my friends, and this was in Southern. I went to school in at Southwest Baptist University in Southern Missouri, and
Ooh.
oh yeah, and old Spoo. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's Baptist College. Come on, Charles. What are you? I don't know what you're.
I went to fundamentalist college. Yeah, it's such fun.
You know what I mean. Anyway,
such
so
fun.
I was taking some summer courses, and one of my friends, it was a friend's dad, and I would go out there and feed his cattle for him. He was a teacher, and I got to know him pretty well. And he goes, "Hey, John, you want to go on a canoe trip?" Yeah, this is great. So his brother came down from St. Louis with a bunch of friends, and we loaded up the canoes, and we drove down to this river called the Little Piney. And Big Piney. Doesn't matter. It was a river. And we put in, and I'm kind of starting to wonder, wait a second. So we're driving with the canoe, they're all driving, and we're all going to be canoeing together. How do we get on a river that goes one direction? And we put in, and they're like, oh yeah. Well, I looked at the map, and it's not very far. So his plan was to walk back
with canoes.
On the road. No, without the canoes. Walk back to the trucks, go grab the trucks, and drive back and pick up the canoes and everybody else. And we proceeded to canoe. It wasn't maybe 4 miles. It was a very slow river. It was the middle of summer. It was very twisty. They were constantly stopping to fish.
Right.
And we also spend the night. And so the next morning we get up and we start walking out. And this is in the Ozarks. And it's not mountains.
Oh, I'm watching that TV show.
Yeah, well, let's say it's sort of like, obviously you've been through Chattanooga, you know, the kind of getting those foothill mountains, you know? Yeah. We walked uphill for an hour and we were still walking uphill and not a car passed us. And we kept walking. And I'm like, and finally Bob goes, maybe this was a bad idea. And I'm thinking, really? And some teenagers took pity on us, gave us a ride to the main road, started walking. And then this old World War II vet and his, Vietnam vet and his little Subaru picks us up and he starts talking and telling us how much he loves Jesus. And we're like, well, we love Jesus too. You're giving us a ride, so we love you. And he drove us and we dropped us off and we got in there and we drove back. I mean, it took us nearly, with rides, took us 2 hours to get back to the car. And water, it's hot, it's summertime. And so ever since, I'm always like, So how are we gonna? Okay, we're gonna get in. So where are we getting out, and how are we gonna do it? So I've always checked that before you do any sort of, especially
Right.
right, yeah.
I've had to learn to push that line myself with my friends and my family. Of one, especially nowadays, we have Google Maps, we have all kind of
Yeah.
devices that we can plan things. Yet, including my kids who grew up on technology, want to mental math things. Like your friend, it doesn't look
Mhm.
that far. It is,
No,
sure.
no.
How about details? How about, oh,
Mhm.
look, I mean, stealing your story a little bit for nowadays. Like, hey, look, oh, Google Maps says it's 4 miles uphill. So how about no? Yeah, I honestly, I do not have a story. Okay. I kind of do, but it didn't backfire like yours did. I was 16, 17 years old. The two guys with me were 15 years old. We were in a thing called Civil Air Patrol.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember that.
okay. For those of you not familiar, it is a civilian, since the civil, but it's a civilian group of sponsored by the Air Force for like search and rescue. Whenever something goes down, they talk about, oh, this 100-person search and rescue team, arm in arm. It's some civilians just put out the call, but they have little groups around that you can train and you get taught things. It's interesting and that kind of thing. And in our opportunity, now we had 2 college kids running it. That's, now I can look back and go, that was a bad idea. Because they were not qualified to run it, because they did not supervise kids very well. If you can imagine what I am now at 46, take away the 30 years of life experience to help me think about things and keep my mouth shut, and that's what you have at 16. And we had this opportunity to go officially with this group to Ohio, to the Air Museum in Ohio. And the thing was, there wasn't a ton of us in our group. We're in this little group in Athens, Georgia, and we had to get to, was it Dobbins Air Force Base? It might have been Dobbins, which is down. No, I think it might have been. I don't remember where it was, but it was an Air Force Base we had to go to and report to, and go to meet up with a bunch of other groups that were going. Thing was, our adults weren't going. They said, sure, y'all can go. And so we didn't tell our parents. We didn't tell anybody at all. And we drive to whatever airport that we have to go to. And it wasn't a big commercial one. It was some base or something. And of course, we have our uniforms on, our little IDs and whatever. And we go to where you're supposed to meet up. There's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 people there, mostly kids and some adults. And we go to sign in and go, where's your adult? We're like, we don't have an adult.
We don't
no, seriously, where's your adult? We're like, yeah, no, we're just going to go. And they're like, and I'm at 16, I'm already like 6'4", 6 foot. No, I was at 14, I was 6 foot. So yeah, I might've been 6 foot. I might've been my height and size now, as I was. And of course I'm 16, and I've learned since 16 years old, I have resting murder you face. So put all that together, they're not sure what to do. They finally get an adult to adopt us and say, yeah, you can come with our group. And we're riding out on DC-10s, which are the huge cargo planes with the big loud engines and all that jazz. Now, the part of the story I've failed to tell you is at 16 and 15 years old, the 3 of us that night went out and got pizza, got the new CD by Live, and Throwing Copper, and was listening to that. And none of us did alcohol. We didn't smoke, which probably would have helped us because we didn't go to sleep. We were so excited about just hanging out together and drinking tons of caffeine, and we stayed up all night. And we're supposed to be at the airport like 6:37 in the morning. So we just show up. We hadn't slept all night. We're all hyped up. We have no supervision. And they're giving a speech. Nobody ever falls asleep on these planes, and this and that and the other. And we're like, cool. And we get on the plane. They fire up the engine. All 3 of us go, honk. And somebody came over and woke me up. Now we're strapped in and everything to the cargo netting. I mean, seriously, there's cargo netting strapped in. And somebody woke me up to go, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm sleeping. Leave me the F alone. Right out. Slept the whole ride there. Landed. We get there and we get this speech. And we already didn't like this adult. And we definitely didn't like his his child second command, because every adult had a kid that's a kid leader, right? And this kid leader did not like we're part of their group. So as we're walking through the museum, and we're supposed to stick with an adult, we just start walking slower and slower, and they don't care. They're not even looking for us. So we just break off and go do our own thing. And we disappeared for the better part of 6 hours in another state in this museum. Got to the point where we're tired. Smarty us, we went and crawled. It's one of those stairwells that's open, so it goes up and up, and that you can get underneath it. Well, it was quiet. So we climbed underneath this stairwell where nobody knew where we were and fell asleep again. Somehow, this is not cell phone days. This is not even pager days, really. So there was going to be no way for anybody to find out where we were in the world if they left us behind. And somehow we woke up in time, came back to the muster spot where we're supposed to be, and they're roll calling, and the little kid leader, whatever she was like to the adult. And they didn't know we just walked up behind them. Like I'm the biggest ninja you'll never see. And we just kind of quietly stood there, and we're just standing there for about a minute. And she's like, and like, what are you talking about? Right here. She's like, what? And they turned like, we've been here the whole time. What are you talking about? And I don't understand how we survived that, Devo, but it's the magic of the world. We got back home. Parents had no clue till we got back home.
Oh yeah.
Fun.
Those were glory days of childhood. I don't know, things you get away with almost in the world, but that's a good one, man. There's
something to be said about having no fear.
Yeah.
Not going to another state without people knowing you is not that. don't do that. So yeah, I didn't walk uphill, but I almost had to walk across 5 states to get home. All right.
Yeah.
Let's hit this dice. Let me go back to my list.
What's the magic there?
The magic is the same one. So we're gonna roll it again. Nope. Is this loaded dice? Holy cow, dude. Okay, that's 4 in a row.
We need Joe.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I know. But
Joe's dice skill. We should take him to Las Vegas if he would, gamble. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's like Joe. You're not gambling.
Here, just roll my dice for me.
Yeah, Joe, it's my money. You just roll the dice.
There you go. I think we got a plan there, Charles.
Hey, there's a way around everything. So it is. What are you nerding out about? And actually, I like what you just put up there. So you put up Umbrella Academy, and that's on Netflix. Season 4 dropped a couple of weeks ago or so. Tell me about it.
Well, I've heard you guys talk a little bit about it. I know that Kurt has been working through it, and I, of course, no spoilers, but my wife and I have been watching it for, a number of years. I mean, obviously in 2019, they sort of all dropped off. And my wife, it's one of those things, we're kind of a symbiotic relationship. I do a lot of the geeky stuff, like the nerdy shows, but she also, she'll kind of gravitate to it. And she has really liked it, and she's really enjoyed it. The 4th season, we hadn't watched it for so long. We had to go back and watch the last episode of the last season to remember what the heck was going on. And but we went through it, and I, like, where are they going with this? And the ending was, it's like anything. It isn't as bad as the infamous St. Elmo's what is it?
St. Elmo's Fire?
Oh no, yeah, no, the St. Elsewhere. Yeah, St. Elsewhere ending of the snow globe, and nothing bad. Oh yeah, that was like the worst of all time. It's nothing like that, but I mean the ending, it's reasonable. So we enjoyed it, wrapped it up, put a little bow on it. We're done with it. And good memories.
I know we talked about it a little bit. And Kurt's liking it, and sometimes he and I just really break apart from each other. In this case, I loved season 1 and season 2. Season 3 is all right. And this season I was like, my wife started with me one episode. She's like, nah, I'm out. Now, she's watched all 3 seasons up till that. She's like, nah, I'm out. can't do
Yeah,
it.
that first episode was a bit slow. I almost lost my wife on that one because if it's not like she doesn't get it, yeah, she's out.
Well, and you mentioned slow. It's not just slowness and predictableness can be a rough
Yeah.
thing. And I know my wife has some ADHD. I think everybody has some ADHD, to be honest. But there's pattern recognition with some of that, and some in autism. There's pattern recognition and other things. And I was watching a TikTok recently and said that's some of the problem with ADHD and autistic people with watching something is because we call them tropes to a certain point, and some of us like to turn our brain off and just absorb it. Pattern recognition is a thing and go, okay, this is about to happen, and it happens. It takes all the joy out of the show. I can't remember if that's what happened in the episode, but I just, it got so weird in this one. For me,
it's very different, and I there's been a bit of a gap in time, so they kind of, I guess, figure this last season, go for it, and if you're going to wrap it up, you're going to have to throw a lot of odd things into it instead of trying to continue it.
And then don't they throw away the entire thing in the last like 3 seconds of the show?
It's yeah.
I the last episode I really dug because you're going in a whole different direction.
I didn't see that.
That's kind of cool.
Exactly.
And then there's some predictable tropes, and then it's like, okay, brave. You did something different. I'm not sure if I like it or don't like it, but kind of cool. And then like, oh, seriously, come on, killing me now. But yeah,
they had to end it somehow, right? I mean,
yeah.
I know better than my ideas. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the you know what? I don't want to spoil it for people. If I remember
exactly.
after, I'll bring it up. But if not, it'll be fine. It's fine. Whatever. Now, are you a fan of English TV?
Oh, British TV? Yeah, I do. I've enjoyed it since, well, of course, Monty Python was and what is it, putting on airs? I've watched Doc Martin. Oh my gosh, we watched those.
Yeah, Doc's pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. So I do enjoy them.
Did you watch Vicar of Dibley? Off subject, but
I did not. I started watching it. Yeah,
it's a slow burn at first,
yeah,
but it's funny enough that if you just give it that time to get its footing, it hits a lot of funny high notes.
I think I caught an episode or half an episode or end of it on PBS once some time ago. My wife and I really enjoyed Midwife. Call the Midwife.
My wife loves that one.
That was really pretty good. I know. I mean,
well, I'm sure it could be good, but my wife does not want to wait for me on that one. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll watch if you're watching it, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, my wife will do that too. You can catch up. And I'm the kind of person also, I can just start right in the middle of the season, right in front of the middle of the episode. I'm okay with it. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely rare when there's any show that I don't just jump into the middle of and go, okay, wait a minute. Now explain this, explain that, explain.
Yeah.
Most of it's like, oh, okay, that's funny because of this, or oh yeah, this little high point here. But it's I think it's well written and well done.
If you're a good writer and it's well written, you should be able to, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah. I love British crime shows. And I don't mean like the dramas. I mean like the Guy Ritchie, you're following the criminal family kind of thing. And I just finished watching Supercell. And it's SUPA, Supercell. And it is so different. It is superheroes in the modern day world, not a world that has superheroes. And it's written by they put it up on every episode, and I looked him up. I thought it was a cool name. It's almost like a DJ name. I can't remember it, but there's one guy who wrote it and directed like everything. He wrote it, directed it. It's an it's an all black cast. I mean, they're in England, so it's not African American. I know, and if it's intended with any kind of terminology there, but it is so well acted, and it's so well written, and it's steady. I wouldn't call it slow. I call it steady. It has a little bit of ups, a little bit downs, and mostly right in the middle. And he just drops you in the world, and the characters don't know what's going on. And you get out of, I think it's 6 or 8 episodes. It's really tight run.
Yeah,
and they've already
8th
confirmed it.
British 8th episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's, honestly don't even know if it's set in London. I don't remember, because the city is not the character. It's the characters that are the characters. And I mean, immediately in the first episode, you start seeing some super stuff going on, but it's who knows what's going on. Actually, it opens up with the mysterious science jail kind of thing. Let me tell you, out of 8 episodes, let's say they're an hour each, there's maybe a grand total of, across the entirety of the series, like 20 minutes focused on this. What is this sciencey, prisony? What's going on? And I loved it, because you're really just discovering the characters, and you still get a hint of it here and there, but it's also not the character. There was no cliffhanger. It
really
just ends. And I mean, every episode has a I say fun, because I enjoy the superhero and the oh, what's next, but there was no I have to watch it. It was just like, this is really good. I like where he's going. I'll pick up the next episode tomorrow. I got the last episode and it came up the screen confirmed for season 2. I'm like, wow, that it was just a good, steady. I could read another book. I could watch another episode, whatever it is. It is that, but it is definitely that gritty crime, street crime feel with superhero stuff and figuring it out.
Okay.
And,
not like The Boys, but
no,
not that bad.
But
not that gritty.
But there's some stabbings and stuff, because it's one of them street gangs. One of the characters is in a street gang, so there's that going on. I really enjoyed it.
Sounds great. I'm going to check that out.
And even my wife came through, because she does fuss about a lot of different TV, and she's like, "Why can't we get television like this in the U.S.? Because it's not pushing an agenda. It's not, oh, poor pitiful me. There's no, like, none of the characters fall in love with each other. Whatever love interests are there were established in the first episode under like real life story guises. And it was just, hey, let's take this adventure. And it was, I'm glad they're doing a season 2. So I recommend that.
Awesome.
And then, now I did go see the Borderlands movie, and I'm reserving.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It's all right.
And
so at Dragon Con coming up next week, I'm actually doing a live panel with TV's Travis and Phil Keating about the show that Travis does is Wait You Haven't Seen.
Yeah.
One of the greatest podcasts out there. And so we're doing a Wait You Haven't Seen Borderlands, because Phil was not going to go see it. Travis knew it'd be a great opportunity to do a fresh movie that had been out for a little bit for the con, so people could have seen it or not. I mean, that's the whole thing, is spoilers, whatever. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I want to do it with you, Travis, and we make it Borderlands, because that's the only way I can make Phil watch this movie. And if I'm going to suffer through it, he's going to suffer through it. And he still hasn't watched it yet, but he's going to before he comes to the con.
So you've watched the movie?
Yeah, I went and saw it.
All right. So
yeah, I went and saw it.
But Phil has not.
But Phil's not.
Ooh.
I will go ahead and tell you from the previews, I hated the idea of Kevin Hart as Roland, who's the main character. I was like, that Roland's not funny. He's dramatic. I mean, there's so many.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but I mean,
it's okay, is my opinion. I went in with I literally went in kind of cringing, going, oh, they're gonna ruin this for me. And having that super low, almost aggressive bar, I went in and had an okay time. I good. Pandora is beautiful. I mean, okay, it's not beautiful if you ever played the game, but it is Pandora, and it's like, oh man, that's Pandora. So it's beautiful in that sense. Some of the character choices they made, like, all right, cool, I can follow it. Yeah, you changed a little bit from the game, but that I didn't think was necessary. But I'm okay with it. It worked out, and it you saw some of the good. Marcus was there, who's fun little scene at the beginning with. If you ever played the Borderlands game.
Oh yes.
The first thing you do,
Borderlands 3.
Okay,
so I didn't regress back to 2, but I've heard 2's really good too.
2's the best, honestly. So far, 2 is the best.
Really good.
It's the best. I've played 3 twice. I have played 1. Okay, 1 was the first one, so I played it a bunch, so it got more. I played 1 about a year after it came out. I had to be taught into it because I didn't like Dark Souls at first, but now I love it. So I played 1 a bunch, and 2 came out. 2. I've put so many hours. I mean, I looked it up when we were talking game hours the other day. I looked it up on Steam or whatever. And Steam is only a fraction. Like I've had it on the Xbox and the PlayStation. I've had it everywhere. And I have a ton of hours. So yeah, I got all the DLCs. I cannot recommend to enough. If you like shooters, you like the Borderlands humor, if you like 3, you love it. You will miss. In 2, I mean 3, you can do slides and you can jump up on things. Those are great mechanics. Those are not in 2, but that's about the only thing. I mean, 3 is fine. It's
a great dialogue. Good. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. You know, Flack is, come here, beast. Come here, beast.
Yeah. If it's on sale or whatever you want to do. Yeah. Get the biggest Borderlands 2 pack you can get with all the DLCs and extra characters. I'm
gonna check that out.
The psycho in the previews for the movie his name is Krieg. He's in 2. He has a downloadable character. They got all but one of his lines into the movie. They're all great. He's crazy. It's just 2 is the best.
Yeah.
So far. But in first one, and they kind of play on this trope throughout. You are a vault hunter on the planet, and this bus rolls up, and you get on this Marcus, and it's loading the game, but it's loading all the story to get you ready to go hunt this vault. So in the movie, Lilith gets on the bus with Marcus, and he keeps trying to do that opening spiel. It's like, no, not vault hunter. And he like keeps trying to. I laughed so hard at that. I was like, okay, that's a great joke, because when you play the game back, especially 2, when you play it back and you're playing different characters, you can't skip that intro. So you're always going, no, I've already played this. I want to move on. And that was so good.
Do all that, yeah.
But yeah,
it's fun.
I'll get some real reviews, but on that panel, and then afterwards, if we hear whatever. But I don't have super strong opinions. It was fun.
Yeah,
you have to enjoy that kind of thing. I think, and I won't say anything else about it. But I already heard the rumors that Borderlands 4 was announced, or it was coming. They dropped a trailer for it yesterday, a teaser trailer. It looks so good. And you don't see any characters. You don't see anything other than outer space and these planets, and it's super high def graphic. And you see iridium cracks in this planet, but then all of a sudden this space stuff starts happening and stuff's hitting the planet, and you just don't know. And I'm sitting there like a little kid going, I'm so excited about this. I know nothing about the game. I know nothing about the characters, nothing about the story, but I'm so excited. That teaser trailer was one of the best teasers I've ever seen.
Well, if they have the same writers, I mean, 1, 2, 3, I mean, the dialogue in it, if they continue that, I
agree.
Yeah. And all the new technology around it, it's going to be, I hope, you know how that you've talked about that, I'm so excited. And you go and dump $50 on something. It's like, oh, this is kind of a dog.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully not.
Phil got burned on 3 because we both pre-ordered it. I don't know what package he got. I got the $100 one, which was everything but the actual loot crate delivered to your house. So I knew I was going to want the DLCs and everything else. When it first came out, there's some kind of, I have not random key. I'll talk about that in a second. When it first came out, there was some kind of bug that affected him that didn't affect me, because he and I had these plans. We were huge fans. We had a lot more free time to stream, so we both took off the days from our day jobs. We were fired up. We're doing an all-day stream, and every time we went to a new world, it would just crash his computer and just drag and just burn him on the experience. I think he's kind of come back around, but I know he's not going to pre-order this one. I'm still going to.
Hopefully, he has better hardware to handle it.
Yeah. All right. First off, Random Kid says, I can't believe I'm late for Devocite. Yeah, no kidding,
Rando.
I like it. And then he says, you probably already mentioned why Joan Kurt is gone, but where are they? Fired him. I fired him because I was tired of lackluster shows. I have to do a professional show here. And all truthfulness, of course, Joe's at his yearly beach trip with his family. And I know, right? No dedication. Really? I'm going to be in Las Vegas in September, and I'm still going to be on the show. So
you just need a microphone and a camera. That's all you need, man. Well, right. I guess
not even that. He's got a phone. He's got a phone.
Exactly. I mean, how awesome would that be to do a podcast from the beach? Come on, Joe.
Come on, Joe. And then Kurt was, we might have a problem. And now Phil was arranged to come on tonight too. Phil killed a deer in his car today. Oh, so he's like,
deer hunter.
Yeah. He's fine. And in case anybody's worried, nobody's worried. But in case you're worried, he's fine. But yeah, he just it's life, right? He has to go take care of that.
Yeah.
Then Kurt was like, yeah. Thank you, random kid. Joe, so lazy. That's the quote of the night right there. I love it. So, but Kurt's like, yeah, I might have a problem too. And he sent me this. Obviously, somebody took it of him, but because they did it black and white, it's a great frame photo. But he's sitting in a rocking chair holding a baby. And I know it's his grandkid. But honestly, in the moment, even now, I forget if he has one grandkid or two grandkids.
He's
Or if he was
mentioned it.
expected to say, I know, right? But I only have to listen.
Ah.
So he's holding a grandchild, looks happy as can be, and I said, hey, no worries. I got it lined up for tonight. So yeah, Devocite got to make his wise and nerdy appearance here. And now we're gonna roll that dice again. And it's a 4.
Ooh.
The Parliament of Papas is
Oh.
here. All right. So we talked about how Devocite was your nickname, and I've had a few nicknames in my life.
Mhm.
The problem I want to solve for the world. End of story. We solve it tonight. Are nicknames good, bad, or just whatever?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's hard. Anymore, I mean, so my son pretty involved through Scouts for years, and now it's nicknames are kind of no tap because it's considered now bullying. And in my case, at first, I won't lie, I probably didn't really like the name Devo. It grew on me. I learned to embrace the Devo. But yeah, my son, I mean, people try to drop nicknames on people, and it's often kind of, yeah, I don't know. There's good and there's bad, right?
It depends on how it comes,
Right.
what it relates to. Nowadays, we're a world of handles. So I'll tell a story about my son in a second. Random Kid says, be careful picking your nickname or you'll end up as Random Kid. So I kind of feel like if you end up as Random Kid, 1086, not bad. Also, it's you can change it if you picked it. Yeah, some nicknames can be mean and hurtful. Yeah. And I'm very sensitive to that. I had a lot of mean nicknames when I was a kid. And we have 2 Catherines that work for me in my job. And one had been there for a year. The other one came on this past January. And they're spelled differently, but when you say it, you can't tell. And one quite literally is like 5 foot nothing, 100 pounds soaking wet cat. And then she goes by Cat. But she's a Catherine. And then the other Catherine we hired, kindly putting it, is not that. And she is larger in many ways, but physically taller. And someone's like, we'll just call her Big Cat. I'm like, no, you will not. She's like, I said, you can call me Big Cat. I'm like, no, we are not.
HR violation there, baby. Potential, depending on.
Yeah, potential.
Yeah,
even before that part, I was like, words mean things. And while you were saying you're taller or you're okay with whatever, I'm not okay with that. So that is something that you do have to worry about. I do call one of my employees Board Shorts because he came to his interview in board shorts. And I was like, yeah, get out of my office, go change, come back. And he worked out good. But every once in a while I'll come, hey, Board Shorts. He's like, like, you earned that one, buddy. Because in the world of EMS, you will earn some nicknames. Clearly, Random Kid says, clearly I should go with Big Rando. That has some implications as well, but I like it. So Devo has been your nickname all your life? Did your parents?
Yeah, well, since I was 11 or 12. I mean, when I was I was always the tallest kid in my class. I'm 6'3". Most, as you know, it's like when someone's taller than you. I mean,
yeah,
I've this conversation with people. It's like they're like, well, everyone's taller than me. I'm like, well, not many. I mean, when I know it when I stand next to someone. And I had one. I was a pretty fast kid. I was the second fastest kid, in in the school, and this guy named Charles, and we were friends. And his nickname was, Meyer Legs, and I'm like, that wasn't bad. But then there was Oscar Meyer Wiener, because my last name is Meyer. There goes Charles. I had to wait for that drink. That was perfect.
That was so good. I almost spit out my scotch.
Ooh, wasting the scotch. That's sad. Okay, sorry about that.
I saved it. I got it. But it was close.
Anyway, so, I heard that. The song is burned into my brain, man.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah,
you can imagine what song's burning in my brain from the.
You don't hear it anymore,
era.
So it's kind of, Yeah. Now my last name, it's Meyer. It's a German spelling, so people read it as Mayer. So people come in and like John Mayer, and like, oh, John Mayer, man, wish you was a singer. I'm like, I wish I was too, man. I'd be living large, but I'm not. So. Yeah, you're right. I did not care for the Oscar Mayer.
No kidding.
And it was not meant to be a flattering. So
and that is the thing, right? So nicknames lead to familiarity. That's way too big a word after almost spitting scotch out. And so in my work, I try not to do nicknames, because there's gonna be times where I have to sit you down and go, you got to do better. And I can't call you Big Rando if I'm telling you to do better and want you to take it seriously. But like with my kids, it's a lazy thing. So my son's Oakland, and we call him Oaks. But then we make nicknames longer. We call him Oaks Abru at some point. And like, why are we adding syllables to his name? But funny enough, like, he's going to DragonCon for the first time. Well, he's been to DragonCon. He's going as a volunteer for the first time this year. He's volunteering on the video game track, and he's trying to stream and this and that. At one point, like when he's 16 and first started dabbling in streaming, he picked the name Mick Pimp. Like, sure, okay, it's not horrible, it's not great,
no, it's not the worst.
All right, well,
kind of surprising, but okay,
sure, we'll take it.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, so sticking with that, when he just fired up this time, he is Stinky Cheesecake with a 3 in there somewhere as an E. And I'm like,
I think I like the first one better.
Yeah, I like the first one better. So, of course, as he fills out this application for the volunteer stuff, now I'd taken him to one of the meetings. I introduced him to the heads of the video game track and said, no special treatment, but I'm letting you know this is the way he does. And I'm letting you know, if you're looking for somebody, he's not just, no offense, but he's not just a random kid. He's since he's 12, he has gone to me to do gigs. He's done some hosting. Like, I put him on the microphone a little bit. I've shown him how to run wires, set up speakers.
Great.
He's not as good as his sister, but he's got experience, as opposed to somebody just walking in and going, I want a video game. So they talked to him. They're like, cool, go fill out the thing. And then they message me what he put in. And it says on the application, what do you want to be called? And he's like, Stinky Cheesecake, which is, again, it's a world of handles. If you're branding, it's a dumb brand, man. And they even said, you might want to think about that. It's going to get shorted to Stink, or, what was it? They told me another one, but their brains went to nicknames real fast, because most of their track volunteers are ex-military. So very adjacent to my world. I'd fit in real good with those guys.
Yeah.
He's going to, he's raised by me. He's not getting a rude awakening, but he might be like, oh my God. So they asked me, he said Mick Pimp or whatever. But on his application where it asks, what are your qualifications, or what skills can you bring to the table? He said, oh my God. What did he say? Swag as hell. That's what he put. And they laughed.
Not bad. That's
not bad.
That's memorable. It's what helps them remember you. But Stinky Cheese, that's not as good memorable as what was it, the pimp, his
Mick
first
Pimp.
one, Mick Pimp. Now that's
I know. I would have stuck with that.
Whatever. I mean, throw it out there and see what sticks, right?
And every kid has their own rebellion, and his has just been bad branding. To be honest, it's like, buddy, I raised you. Literally, I gave my kids their names as branding when they grew up, and I won't throw it out there necessarily, but
sure,
I gave them all a middle name that could act as a last name for a stage. Like, if they ever did any kind of acting or anything, I branded my kids And so his rebellion is to have stinky cheesecake and be a dumbass, but it's okay.
Parents, kids, what do you do, right?
Right.
Get into water.
I mean, I prefer that than the other rebellions that could be out there.
That's true.
And like my youngest son's Ryland, and I said it right. I don't know why I said that again. We call him Rye Guy sometimes.
Okay.
We named our daughter Zoe, so there really is no nickname for her. Crosby is Cros, those kind of things. We shorten it, but they haven't earned any nicknames, which is kind of a good thing, because honestly, if you earn a nickname, if it's a great nickname, you're the hero. If it's a bad name, I think I saw it on TV shows like Pee Pants or something with somebody's nickname.
Yeah.
And then you went to like a college reunion, they were calling Pee Pants. It's like, no,
that's not great.
That's not a nickname. That's a brutally referring to somebody's name.
Well, my oldest son is Josh, or Joshua, full name. And then my daughter.
Can I get a social?
What's that?
I said, can I get a social?
Oh yeah. And and then my daughter is Ruby, and I call her Rue all the time.
Sure.
So she, they real early they wanted to play Minecraft. So you have to create email accounts for them so they can all have their accounts.
Right.
And I asked them what they wanted, and he wanted Ship of Wonder. He's 5, 6.
Sure.
My daughter's even younger, and she was watching the Teen Titans, and she messed it up, and she made Miss Starfly. Close.
Okay.
But it was perfect because nobody else uses it. And so she'd go by Starfly, and he'd go by Ship. And so they're kind of really nice handles. It kind of work pretty nicely for them. Yeah. So they've been lucky, I guess, really.
Yeah, I actually didn't think about asking my kids what they wanted. I tried to grab their names originally on some social media, but definitely in emails. But Gmail did some weird things to where it kept saying, well, that account doesn't, after I did it, and we didn't use it for like a year, and then I could relog into it and whatever, but we'd use it to sign up, like you said, for Minecraft or Roblox or whatever. And it's like, oh, you can't log in. So we try to reset the passwords. Like, this doesn't exist. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it new with their name. Oh no, this exists. And Gmail got real. I don't know what happened to Gmail and COVID, but COVID screwed up Google. Something fierce.
Yeah.
But I gave up on trying to get them their Facebook pages and Twitter handles. I'm like, y'all figure it out on your own. I don't care anymore. Random Kid asks, how old do you have to be to volunteer at DragonCon? 18 is the age. They do make a few minor exceptions, and this year my daughter actually gets to volunteer for the first time as well, because it was a last minute. I was working with the video game track, and like, hey, we just had 2 drop out. Do you have any friends? But we have our daughter, who actually is, I mean, I don't dog my son out. This is just a fact. At what you're doing, she's going to be better. She just leaned more into that world than he did. He's going to be fine. She's going to be great, but she's 17 because her birthday is in October. And because it was that close to the birthday, and possibly because she's related to me, they did a little hand waving and said, no, it's understandable. It's fine. And the track took responsibility for it. It's like, we will make sure everybody knows their ages. I mean, even at 19, you're fine, but no drinking, no anything. And my daughter doesn't look like she's 17. She looks like she's 24. And so they're going to look out for, like, we're going to make sure nobody hits on her and makes it uncomfortable. So that was that. But yeah, it's 18.
What a great opportunity.
Yeah. And here's the thing that most people don't know about DragonCon. When you volunteer, you get a badge for all 5 days included, and you get a special t-shirt that they make only for volunteers, and a special lanyard for volunteers. But you pay a one-time fee of $20, and that's it. And I think a little bit of that's processing, but I think it's just hey, don't just come in and act like it's free and not do anything about it. If you can't pay $20, you can't be here, type of deal. But it's one time. So at 18 and 19 years old, they have paid the one-time fee. So as long as they do a fine job, they don't have to come back every year. But as long as they do a fine job, they can always return as a volunteer for free.
That's a lot of fun.
And they do
sound a lot of fun. I'm like, man, wish you guys were a little closer, but
I know.
Like a 10-hour drive for me. So it's been a while since I've been to Atlanta.
Yeah, and it is. Well, you do have to plan for it. You don't want to park your car 4 miles up
Oh
the road. I
no.
mean, it's DragonCon is an expense and it's an adventure, and you
Yeah, and I heard the
go through
MARTA
it,
shuts
but
down
it's
after a certain hour anyway. So
like
that
2
was,
a.m. at this point,
oh,
but it
is it
used to be
too?
earlier this year. Yeah, we were talking
Okay.
about it last night on Be Awesome Together. We were talking about MARTA, and we weren't sure. And somebody in our chat said it shuts down at 2 a.m. now,
Yeah.
and that might be for the summer, it might be for DragonCon, because at one point it was like midnight, and yeah, you do have to plan a little bit better, but it can be quite affordable if you do know
Oh
how
yeah.
to plan it.
Oh yeah.
Stay out by the airport and the cheaper hotels and take the 20-minute ride in on the train, but then make sure you go home before 1:30 so that
Yeah.
you can get that ride back. It is good. All right. And Random Kid was talking about me branding kids. My kids, like, they haven't earned the Big C moniker. Yeah. You showed up to the 20th anniversary celebration. I appreciate you. All right. We just did number one. Who does number
Okay.
2 work for? All right, we've done that one. Number 2 is Tell Me a Story, Daddy. And let's see what we put there. Oh, so I had something different, but then I was asking you how you found Wise and Nerdy, and I kind of remembered you came from Pokemon Go. So here's the story I'd like to hear from you, John.
Oh
I'd like to know how you found Pokemon Go and
yeah.
how you got hooked in there. But I've not actually heard from anybody on the outside watching our transition of how, as a participant and a listener, how you viewed the transition from Pokemon Go to Wise and Nerdy.
So it was kind of in that, COVID era, and I had started playing Pokemon Go with my kids again. I had started in 2016, played a little while, I stopped. They were wanting to play a little older, so we play and we'd go out and do things. And I had Spotify, and I just looked up Pokemon, and ta-da, you guys popped up. And
Yeah, we kind of have
the
Randy
name
down on that
says
show.
it. I popped
Yeah.
on, and I kind of liked yours and Joe's banter, and it was kind of fun. And my kids had actually played Pokemon the card game, and so I was pretty familiar with that. I've got a whole binder over here.
Nice.
It's kind of a, there's a lot of adults that have some pretty sweet swag when it comes to Pokemon
Mhm.
card stuff, by the way. Anyway, just started listening to you guys, and then I don't know, I think it was the Ode to Venipede popped in my head, and I submitted that randomly, and
Yeah.
I I remember you guys. What the heck? And I think that was pretty much it right there. I'm like, well, that was fun. And you and I don't know, I've done the Pokemon navigation, just submitting stuff.
Right.
I was in television. I love the audiophile stuff. I've always enjoyed all that. And it's just sort of a creative outlet. I'll be driving along, the stuff will pop in my head, and I'll just kind of like, hey, da 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 da. And
You
then
did one from your car, if I remember right. We were like, oh, that was a flock of geese that just flew across the road or something. Like,
I don't know.
Random thought. It's so great.
I would do some really, speak
yeah.
pipes, just whatever. It's a lot of fun, just interacting with you guys. I kind of enjoy that. It gives you guys something, kind of gives me something, a little feedback. Hopefully, it gives the listeners something fun to lean on.
Cheeky Nashville, man.
Oh, Cheeky was
Holy
hilarious. I
cow.
miss him. Oh my God,
Right?
he's the best speak pipes of all time.
For a year, we got this character of Cheeky Nashville. I can't even do his voice.
Oh, I know.
And
Cheeky
then we
Nashville.
revealed that he's English.
Is he?
Yeah, we had one of the last.
Fantastic.
We had like a celebration show. It may have been 300 or what. It was some special show.
I
where
remember.
People call in, and yeah, and he kind of made it his last kid stop playing the game for a little while, and he's like Cheeky Dash, and he just kind of stopped talking in that and started talking his real voice, like, what? You're not even American? Holy cow, man!
He was hilarious. He did a song for you too. I remember that.
Yeah, he did a Pokemon
funny.
rap.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You did with the Whalmer
Yeah,
pirate
the
song, didn't you?
Whalmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once there's a lad, his name was Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
that was great. So
I did
we
that for your
obviously,
anniversary too, because I was like, and it was crazy. I was like,
yeah, that was show
oh,
300.
and
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
like did all that through there, and my microphone, I can't remember what, I couldn't find it or something, and so I did it on like the microphone I didn't like and stuff, and I was calling my son, hey Josh, I need you to sing extra chorus and do overlays and blah blah blah, and I'm like throwing this together. It came out okay.
No, okay. It came out great. It came out pretty fantastic. It was awesome. And I know Joe's like, play the song. I don't have it on my board anymore. It's in a file somewhere. I have to find it, Joe. So when you come back next week, you can play it. Actually, it won't be next week. We'll be at Dragon. Well, no, okay, we'll talk about it. We do a show next week. So a lot of I would say, being transparent, we were probably up to about 1,200, 1,500 downloads an episode with Pokemon Go. And you muted yourself, Devo, by the way. And we knew that transitioning to what we're doing now, there were some people who were there because of how we treated the property, and they loved the property. They enjoyed us, but this is the property. We didn't lose nearly as many of the audience that we thought we would, but in that transition where we're like, yeah, this is why we're leaving Pokemon. This is why we're going to this. From your standpoint, as a audience member, as a fan of that show, interactor with that show, what was your perception of that transition in that ride?
I thought that the transition was good. I remember you doing that pilot episode and listening to it, and I understood. I really did get it, because you can kind of outgrow, and I don't want to say beat it to death, but Pokemon Go, it had its place in time. I think it just, how much can you talk about it, these events and so forth? It'd be one thing if you're like going out and doing on-site, and you could really get into it, but I felt like, yeah, you had probably plateaued, and I could kind of feel it a little bit, and I think probably listeners could. It was kind of, always interesting. Joe had great trivia. He was always bringing up lots of information, events coming on. I have no idea how those guys got all those shinies. Holy cannoli.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh. Anyway, but I digress. No, I thought it was good, and it was kind of interesting to see the transition of you guys, and I really do. I think it's turned out pretty well.
I for my own purposes, I think it has turned out very well, because and to also be transparent, we lost a decent amount of money transferring over, and only say that to say we didn't do that show only for money. It was very much a commercial show. We built it that way. We never shied away from it, but feeling that drag is like it got to the point where, okay, we knew I barely played the game. That was part of the shtick, and it worked. We always put on a good show.
Still haven't opened gifts from you.
Yeah, that's gonna be a thing for a while. But when they were coming out with like news that was like, this seems very anti-community, and then the show gets so serious in a moment, we're like, this is just not what we want. It's not what we started out to do. We started out to have fun and be a commercial show, but if we have to pick one, we're gonna pick enjoying what we do. And I love that you came along with this one. I love Random Kid in the chat. Did you catch us as Wise and Nerdy, or did you catch us?
Oh, that's a
before?
Great question.
Because
it's kind of a new name to me, and unless he changed his nickname, but doesn't sound like it since.
Yeah, I think he came on here on YouTube when we finally started.
That's great.
Putting it on YouTube. But they'll tell us in a minute. But you have to do what you love, and I can just tell you from a production standpoint, and hopefully it shines through in what we do, is that Joe and I have loved every step of the way with the show, refining it, building it differently, changing things up, tweaking things up, bringing Kurt in sometimes. He's supposed to be a full partner, but he shows up when he wants to. What can I say? But
Well,
yeah.
if I can give a plug, I mean,
Okay, plug.
I mean, I'm a Patreon, and I donate because hobbies they cost money, and microphones cost money, and and to make a quality program, it's nice to have that additional kind of go towards the craft, if you will. You know, I've never, well, me personally, have not met a whole lot of people that do these type of things. It's not a moneymaker. It's definitely it's for love of it. But it's kind of nice to have that feedback. And I mean, God, Joe needs a new camera. Oh my
I
gosh.
know, right?
The C320.
I
Oh my
know.
gosh. So like I had one of those years ago. I'm about ready to send him one of my spare C920s because I'm so sad for him.
Hey, you're not wrong.
Phil
You
gives
know,
him
it is.
nothing but grief every single time
I
I've heard
know.
him on.
I
It's
love it.
funny.
I love it. And you're right. I do a lot of what I do, what I love, and I want to do it for my life. And not everybody wants to do that. But it's we love the patrons and we love the audience members. And I love the speak pipes when people want to call in and just tell me their thoughts because it is about that interactivity. And this even random kids like he really does need a new camera. You know what? Christmas is coming up. And here's the other thing. We were smart with our money. We never just went out and got stuff. We always built up stuff so that we could go, let's invest in this for the show. Or when we went to Chicago, one, we had a lot of help. Barry Falk was amazing and took care of us to a certain extent, but anything that he didn't take care of, the show took care of. So once we knew we were going to transition, we just put a cease on spending. And so we've kept money back. So I think we could buy him the show can buy him a new camera for Christmas, and we'll knock that out for him. Because everybody's like, we really need it. But you know what? Every time he tells a bad dad joke, I'm like, you can wait another week on that camera, sir, because you're killing me with that. But I'm glad to hear that perspective.
Yeah.
And if you won't mind, I didn't think about you being a patron. I didn't think about all that. So thank you for the plug. Will you share though what you get out of it being a patron?
Oh well, one of the key things, and I listen to this show while I'm driving to work, driving home from work. It gives me it breaks up the day, because sometimes you get really deep in this stuff. Charles, you talked about it. Driving and going, hey, you calling your buddy up and saying, do a podcast for me, entertain me. Well, this is kind of entertain me. And what's special about it is that there is time before the podcast when you and Joe, are bantering on. We get to hear when Joe is late or Kurt's
hard time,
whatever. Yeah, hard time. Yeah, there you go. Phil comes on. Whoever your guest.
I have to edit those pre-shows pretty heavily when Phil comes on.
Yeah. Well, Patreon edition, you can kind of a little bit more open on that, and I don't mind that myself. But yeah, it's really kind of fun, and then I get to also leave special notes in the chat.
Yes,
for Charles and whoever or whatever, or just make whatever comments in there. It's kind of fun to do. That's kind of outside. It's not in the Discord, so I don't have to behave myself necessarily, though I typically do, but maybe not. You'll never know unless you're a Patreon. So I recommend being. It's good, and I like actually listening. I listened to this show for the longest time on Spotify. I really like it better. I really like the app and listening to it much better because you can change the speed. You can forward, backwards. It's all really nice. So,
which app do you use?
What's that? This is the Patreon app.
I forgot they had their own.
Yeah, okay. I started on the web. Just doing the web version of it, and I didn't like it as much. And we're like, oh, they have an app. Man, that was perfect. I like it.
I love it. I will let that slide, random kid. You'll get it in a minute. But this is one of the new ones I love, so I'm going to hit this because we're down to it. So
it's the question of the week.
That is not what I wanted to hit.
Oh,
let's get paid.
I like that one.
I love that one. My daughter is so funny. So here's a little music, and then we'll let John harass me here in a minute.
Oh. I would never do that.
Where's this going?
This is kind of like trance, kind of, yeah.
I think it's going to drop here in a second.
I'm going to drop something.
We're going to drop the viewership. Here it goes. Here it goes.
Good.
Oh, there it is. I knew I had this for a reason.
Nice.
Ooh, I actually like that. Look, if you'd like to join Devocite and be a patron, patreon.com/wise_n_nerdy. We'd love to have you come be a part of the family over there.
You bet.
There is the $1 level, there's $5 level, and then there's this is good scotch. My tongue is not working right now. And there's the Scotch Katir level.
Wow.
Where if you pledge at that level and then you find me in real life at one of the many cons I go to, I will share a glass of scotch with you. So we'd love to have you in there. And now just enjoy a little whatever this is.
Reminds me of my misspent youth.
Oh, I know it's got to take somebody back, right? That wasn't quite my heyday, but I still like it. Yeah, my wife, we watch TikToks and whatnot, and they're remixing different things, and it's like it's just the same thing over and over again. I'm like, babe, you're not at Tomorrowland rolling a Molly. This is really, really fascinating to people who are, altered in some kind of way. It's a great,
yeah,
and it is. I mean, we're sober listening to some of this, like, get to the drop already, like we did with that song. I was like, get to the drop already. But when you're not sober, like, oh my God, what's going on? But yeah, I like some of it. So there's only one thing left to do before we get out of here. It's the bad dad jokes. But I was trying to find a button. Wait, is it? I think this is the button.
Is it BS?
Oh, it's totally BS. So random kid already started. I wonder how many talking about Joe here. I wonder how many bad dad jokes his kids hear. They must have a very hard time.
Oh,
very
funny. Very nice.
And you are known for trolling me.
So, what fighting techniques do aliens use?
TIE fighting? No.
Martian arts. Oh yeah, there it is.
The other thing that Phil gives Joe so much grief about is zero timing on the jokes. He does
I know.
Right after the joke because he's such a good inner child. He's just so excited to see me groan or get in pain, and he just, oh my God, he loves telling these things.
Can't wait to say it. He's excited.
Needs a button. We need a lot of things on a button.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I had something else to ask you. I lost it. It's okay. So I guess what I'll ask you is, one, is there anything you'd like to promote or put out there for people if you want to follow you or not?
Well, I would like to I'll promote this show because I am not a podcaster. I don't. This is the time I give is for this show. So if it's going to be any show, it's going to be this show.
Oh,
and I do enjoy the show,
Daddy.
Yeah,
Kurt is such a mess. Well, thank you, Devo. We very much appreciate that. You can find all my stuff at linktree/RGOP42. Go follow everything we do with this show. We do post it on other sites. We have it on all the podcatchers. But linktree/wise_n_nerdy. We have 2 YouTube channels. One is this full episode unedited on the live version. And you get the opening and the closing. You don't get all the extra stuff for Patreon. We'll get to that in a minute. But the other YouTube channel that we have, which is also linked through that link tree, is WNN Clips. And Joe goes in and he clips out segments of the show and cuts them down to, it depends on what's going on, right? It can be 3 minutes, it can be 10 minutes, but there's just little daily segments that go out on that channel. And if you're looking to help out with the show, and not monetarily, we could definitely use somebody to take those and put them on TikTok for us, because that would be great. Oh, Rando Kid, look at that. Rando Kid says I like the Cliffs channel. That's awesome feedback. That's great. Joe puts a lot of good work into that.
He works hard on that.
He really does. And I believe you helped him out with some software on that, which
I did. I'm really happy that worked out for him. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad he enjoys it too.
It is good.
Spread the love.
You know what? That is what it's all about. I love the flat out feedback you gave about like the first speak pipe you called in, and that you just enjoyed the interaction, because it's like, what is this? What is going on? And laughing and joking, and you feel like a part. And what you put in is what you get out. So money aside, which we love, obviously, this is what matters to me, is that speak pipe where you just put yourself in there. The messages that people send, emails, those kind. You can email us, which is also on the link tree, but it's wnnShow@gmail.com. You can be a part, and when you put in that little effort, one, unless you're just a butt face, we're gonna have fun with it and enjoy it with you. And two, that's the one thing I always love being on the other side of the podcast, the listening side, is just to go, man, I really appreciate what you're doing. So I'm going to throw in a little bit of fun that I think you'll have. And just to hear it hit and land, that is for 20 years, that has been my heart, is I cannot stand when a media creator asks for input and then does not read the input, does not interact with the chat, does not engage with the audience. This can be a static medium, but not when I'm on it. I like.
Well, and you said you had a large viewership. Did you say South Korea?
Yeah, actually we do. So that's our second largest country. So John hears all of this on the Patreon. On the Patreon, we talk about everything.
I know things.
Yeah.
Well, that means that people could leave speak pipes in their native language, and I bet you would enjoy it, wouldn't you, Charles?
I would actually. I would love that.
Right.
And then the week later, we play it again, because I'm going to try to figure out how to translate it so we can understand it.
Pull out the old translate.
Yeah. Oh, that would be the great segment. Hold up the phone.
Great. I think that would be a lot of fun.
See?
There you go. If you understand English, leave it in your native language. If you don't feel comfortable speaking it, Charles would love it. It's gold for this man.
Oh, it feeds my soul, man. It really does. And I'm like, that was the energy on that was really cool. And I'm going to figure out what they said. And yeah, absolutely. You're not wrong. I mean, it's dead on. Rando Kid, big Rando, as we're calling it, should send in some bad dad jokes. No, not just for me, for you. Because I'm going to crap on it. I'm going to crap on it.
Speak pipes are gold, baby.
We even played, and we do not screen these. So don't burn us. If you start saying bad things, we like it PG-13. We like it to be open to, if Devo's riding in the car with his kids, he doesn't have to worry about explaining something he didn't want to explain. Now, I don't think that's your life, but that is our mentality of, you get to choose how you listen to it. I will listen to all kind of stuff except the murder shows with my kids. I don't listen to true crime shows with my kids. Other than that, I let them hear all kinds of stuff, but maybe you don't. So as you call in things, part of it is I like the surprise. So I just want to interact in the moment. Like we're talking in real life. If you cross the line, it's going to burn a whole lot of things for a lot of people. It'll cut that off. We'll talk about it seriously. We will not interact with you. So please come play fun. It'd be awesome. Rule number 1, Dragon Con, is don't be an asshole. That's our rule too. Just come have fun. Speaking of Dragon Con, next week, it'll be Tuesday, August 25th, I think it is. 26, somewhere in there. But it's next Tuesday. So week from tonight, Thursday. 27th. I was close.
27th. So Tuesday, 27th.
That is when Joe and I are going to do the live show, because for Thursday night we'll be at Dragon Con actively working. And then we're doing our live Dragon Con show. So here's how it'll work in the feed. Tuesday night, record live. It'll go live for the patrons either that night or the next morning. Because I have to rush it in, because my Dragon Con starts Tuesday. So I've got a lot of stuff going on. But we're gonna record that night, and that'll be the standard. It'll go out in the standard. So this show recorded now, if you're hearing it on your podcast, Joe and I are at DragonCon right now when this dropped. And then that Tuesday show will come after. And then we're gonna release the special episode recorded at DragonCon, which will be live. You can find that at Linktree. That's linktr.ee/DC Digital Media Track. And it'll be live Saturday at 5:30 p.m. We're going to be doing it live there. And that will be with Bob Magoo, who's been on here, but he's done live with us before.
Good.
Stoner Gump is going to come
He's
back
funny.
on.
Yeah, I like
and Kurt, unfortunately, had to back out. He's not going to make it to DragonCon, so he won't be on live. We might, or we don't know until we get to the con. We might be able to remote him in. And then there's some special fun that's planned with the audience. So that will go on Patreon first for probably about a month, and then we'll just release it into the feed. But you can also catch it live. It'll be there. Is that all the changes? Because then the week after, we'll be right back on a normal schedule. So yeah. So if you Rando kid, bring out your friends, come on Tuesday night, and then come again. It's a bonus for live people. If you come on Tuesday night to this channel, youtube.com/wise_nerdy, wise_nerdy, you get the show. And then if you go on the DC Digital Media Track on Saturday, you'll get another show, bonus episode. Thank you for coming on, Devo.
Thank you for having me.
You've been very, very helpful in so many different ways. And that's something that's, I love what you said about feeling comfortable. Interact with us in any way you feel comfortable. Just because you're a patron, we're not going to drag you out and embarrass you, but you actually get a little bit more of an inside look of what we do, and you can help shape the show, because in my world, creativity is a group process. It's not a one-man band. So with that being said, Joe, stop being lazy, and Kurt, kick the baby. Come on, man. We need you on the show.
Ooh.
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
And check out Kurt everywhere on VO by Devo.
Hi, Jack.
And one day we'll meet Big Rando in person.
Yes.